NASCAR is looking at going electric maybe in the future, and congratulations, the Race Team Alliance has kinda killed Throwback Weekend. Yo, what is up everyone? My name is Jet and welcome back to the episode of Inside the Lines. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. We got 3 stories to talk about on this show, but before we get into that, if you haven't already, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. It does mean a lot to me in this channel. The last few weeks, in fact the last 2 months have been incredible on this channel in terms of engagement and things like that. I really do appreciate it. I feel like I'm getting back into the rhythm of things. You know, I'm trying to make the quality and production as good as possible, and it's showing. You guys are enjoying the content, so I'm very happy about that. And we're so close. We're just about 100 or so away from 6,000 subscribers. And yeah, that would be awesome if we can hit that by the end of this year. I think we can do that. But anyways, enough talk about subscribers. Let's jump into with our 3 stories. The first one revolves around the Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is scheduled to take place 2 weeks from now. Obviously, we know that the big change with Atlanta is that it's now going to become a super speedway, basically, or at least it'll be treated as one. With the increased banking and the shortening of the track width, and top of that with fresh new asphalt means extremely high amounts of grip. We're probably going to see some form of pack racing. We have a new aero package that's going to be run similar to what's used at Daytona and Talladega. And Steve O'Donnell has announced that more than likely Atlanta will have a yellow line rule. Now, my thoughts on this, it's understandable, or I shouldn't say this. It's not understandable. I'm not surprised by this. If you're going to race on a super speedway and have pack racing, you're going to have the yellow line rule. I think everyone knows that, or at least everyone that watches NASCAR hates the yellow line rule because, number 1, there's no need for it. Number 2, it's not enforced properly. There's always a judgment call. It's never consistent, as evidenced by 2 years ago at Talladega in the fall, and numerous other examples. So no one likes the yellow line rule. On top of that, with the track already being so small, having a yellow line rule on top of that, it's just going to make for some very cramped up racing, which at the very least should be intense. Whether it will be good, well, that's up for y'all to decide. But regardless, it looks like Atlanta will officially be NASCAR's 3rd plate track. So there you go. And he is going to be part of our story in the next topic regarding NASCAR going possibly electric in the future. Now, NASCAR since its inception has always been using internal combustion engines for its cars. Gasoline powered, you know, basically the type of cars that we've been running for since cars were invented. Well, times are changing now. Internal combustion engines are now going down and out, and it looks like the future is going to be hybrid / more electric cars, a safer alternate form of transportation. And NASCAR is looking at that option, and potentially they have had talks about maybe holding an electric series in the near future. On a teleconference, Steve O'Donnell emphasized that the current OEMs of Chevrolet, Ford, and Toyota have expressed significant interest of moving towards electric cars in competition in the near future. And when you look at statistics based off of the amount of electric cars that are being produced on the road, it does show a trend of electric cars being the future. Last year, 6.5 million vehicles were sold worldwide, according to a market research company, Canalys, I think that's how you pronounce it. That is a 109% increase over 2020. So yeah, electric cars are growing more and more by the years. Now, NASCAR has said that they don't have a timetable as of yet on when they would be pursuing electric cars. It won't be in the near future, but it is an opportunity they're looking at. Now, Steve O'Donnell has stated that they're not looking at the moment for NASCAR to go completely, fully electric, but at the very least to have 2 forms of motorsports coexist. One with internal combustion engines / hybrid engines, and one for the electric. Kind of similar with the FIA, with Formula 1 and Formula E. They have one, F1 being for hybrid engines, while Formula E is strictly electric. Steve O'Donnell did release a statement going more in depth about NASCAR looking at electric in the future. He says, quote, "We are exploring some opportunities around an exhibition series in that space. And as everyone knows, there is a huge push across all of our OEM partners, and even potentially new OEM partners. So it's important for us to explore that space. I think there's a lot of interest from our current partners to be a part of that. We look at NASCAR as a place where in an ideal world, we'll all be all things to all people. So if you went to a NASCAR event weekend, you could see whatever type of technologies you wanted throughout the race weekend. But for us, the race has to be entertaining. Our fans, they love noise. They love the sound, the feel of racing. So if we're going to get into the electric space, I promise you it will be entertaining. And it'll be something that fits into our portfolio and something our fans will be proud of. Alright, so I just want to say this, preface this to some NASCAR fans that are still stuck in the 70s. We can no longer survive on combustion engines forever. If we do that, we're not going to have a planet for much long, alright? We have to start looking at more safer, eco-friendly, to the earth, alternate ways of transportation, okay? We have to. We can't be stuck in the 60s, 70s, and 80s forever. We have to evolve at some point. So this is good that what NASCAR is doing. And on top of that, it's good for the sport. No OEMs is going to want to get in a sport that's only surviving or its only type of technology in terms of engines or creating speed is in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. They don't want that anymore. Okay, especially with the younger generation, they want to go to a more eco-friendly type of living, especially transportation. Having internal combustion engines is not going to solve that. If NASCAR wants to grow, if they want to get more OEMs, more partners in the sport, going cleaner, going electric, hybrid, whatever, would be the best option for the sport in the future. NASCAR has to evolve. They can't be stuck in the past. They have to evolve. So to criticize NASCAR for thinking about this is stupid. This is good that NASCAR is doing. I like that NASCAR is looking at hybrid engines, electric, components for the future, and that's especially with the next gen car. It's built for that. It's built to have hybrid / electric compartments in the car so that it can be made for the future. Now, more than likely, like 85% chance, I'm just guessing, when NASCAR gets its new engine package, probably maybe in 2025, around that area, it will be hybrid, and more than likely will have some form of electrification, maybe like a KER system, like some form of energy boost like they have in F1 and IndyCar with the push-to-pass system. They'll have some form of technology like that, and that's good. I know in the past I was a bit ignorant on that. I said no, 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 none of that. Now I'm open to that, and I think it'd be better for the future, and it's going to attract more OEMs, which at the end of the day is good for the sport, no matter how you look at it. What's better for the sport? Having 7 or 8 manufacturers or OEMs in the sport, or still having just 3? Okay? I would love to be in the world of NASCAR where we have not only Chevrolet, Ford, and Toyota, but have also Honda, Nissan, Mercedes-Benz, I'm just throwing names out there, Dodge come back, or just more OEMs. That is overall just going to bring up the sport to a much higher platform. So NASCAR is doing a good thing by taking this route. Will it work? Again, that's up for debate, but I like that they're taking the initiative of looking into that route. And they have said that they're looking at other power sources like hydrogen that's being looked at by NASCAR executives as well as a potential way of having these race cars work. So they are looking at different types of ways to be able to have a cleaner, safer way of NASCAR racing, but still keeping that NASCAR feel. And that is, of course, the noise. And I'm glad that Steve O'Donnell talked about that subject, the noise. And I think that's really the only complaint that people have with the electric cars is that it makes no noise. It's fine when you're in the neighborhood, you don't want noise passing by while you're sleeping. That's fine. But at a racetrack, you need the noise. That's one of the big things about going to a race weekend is to feel the engines, feel the cars, feel the noise when you're right there in the middle of it all. If you go electric and you're not able to produce that, you're going to turn away a lot of fans. So I trust NASCAR that if they're going to enter into that space, they're gonna do it right. And now on to our final story, NASCAR Throwback Weekend, which is scheduled to take place in Darlington in May. Now, I was very curious to see how Throwback Weekend will go with the next gen car. Obviously, we know that with the cars being moved, or the numbers I should say being moved forward, that during Throwback Weekend, it would just not work. And we were hoping that at least for Throwback Weekend, just for one race, just put it back in the middle. It looks like we're not going to get that. Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing, RFK Racing, they released their paint schemes for Throwback Weekend honoring Matt Kenseth and Mark Martin. Brad Keselowski will throw back to Mark Martin's Pfizer car in the mid-2000s, while Chris Buescher will throw back to Matt Kenseth's D-Wall car, also from the mid-2000s. And as you can see, the numbers have been moved forward. While it doesn't look that big of a deal from Buescher's car, on Keselowski's car, it just looks weird. It looks so weird. And it didn't take long for social media to get up into a blaze or into a firestorm, and with good reason, criticizing it, Tim Duggar said, quote, "I don't mind the number forward, but throwback weekend, it hurts the ability to pull off a legit looking throwback scheme. Wish they would let the teams choose that weekend, whatever works with the scheme they are running." And Dale Earnhardt Jr. said, "They, meaning NASCAR, let the teams choose. The teams chose this." Now, what he means by that is that the RTA, the Race Team Alliance, they were the reasoning behind NASCAR, or behind them moving the numbers forward so that sponsorship can get more exposure. NASCAR did give them some leverage. They said, hey, if you want to, for throwback weekend, you can move it back in the middle just for one race. The RTA said no. Dale Jr. followed up by saying, "I was told that the owners wanted continuity across the board. NASCAR offered them flexibility, but owners requested strict guidelines to location. With throwback weekend, maybe there is some flexibility, remains to be seen." Now, again, possibly. You know, he's not saying there may be some flexibility, but that would absolutely suck if the RTA decided to keep with the numbers moving forward, because that just kills throwback weekend in my opinion. It just doesn't look right. If you're gonna have a throwback weekend, the car has to look like the car from the past. Yeah, you know, the generation of cars may be different, but at least the paint scheme itself. You cannot throw back to a car when the number is in a completely different location and so called a throwback scheme. That makes no sense. Doing that is about as good as Stenhouse's throwback scheme last year, where it had just a tiny bit of color and they called it a throwback scheme. It's like, no, you can't do that. If you're gonna throw a throwback scheme, you have to do it exactly how they did it back then. That includes moving the number back to the middle, to the original position. I actually like the numbers move forward. On the next-gen cars, it actually looks pretty fine, pretty good. Even with William Byron's car, it just looks weird, but I've gotten over it. But for throwback weekend, for just this one race, just move it back in the middle. Just please do that. That's literally all I want. If you want to move the numbers forward, fine. I actually kind of, like I said, I kind of like the numbers being moved forward now. But for just throwback weekend, just put them in the middle. It's about throwing back to NASCAR's to some of the great paint schemes from years past. Do it right. Come on, RTA, use your head. But yeah, that's gonna conclude this episode of Inside the Lines. If y'all enjoyed this video, like I said earlier, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Tell me in the comment section down below your thoughts on any of the stories that I discussed. And until next time, my name is Jet, and I'll see y'all next time.